When I got out of college, I had the choice to make, what am I going to do? Majored in economics, went on some interviews, and quickly made the decision that I didn't see myself sitting behind a desk. I was pulled towards policing, if you will, and never looked back and loved every minute of it. I think back to my time. I started in the 4-6 precinct up in the Bronx in 1991, and the city was a different time back then, and it was a neighborhood that was going through a tough period of time, and I really frequently think back to what good people were there and how much they needed the cops, and just that humanity of the entire situation, where people relying on the police had no one else really to call, and that connection to people. That's what I took away from it.
A union handyman. This is an American dream story if ever there was one.
Police commissioner is not something that I envisioned. No, not in a million years. It's a tremendous honor. It's a tremendous responsibility. It really is. This job somewhere along the way becomes much more than a job. It really does. And it's a extended family that becomes right on par with the family. We don't have bookstores anymore in New York City, right? Everything is online. But you can go to a library and you can see a shelf filled with books on how to be a good leader, or how to have a particular management style. And I've read a few of them, and I think there's some value in many of them, but it's never lost on me, and I've often thought this. I think my mother should have wrote a book many years ago, because those are the lessons that I draw upon more than anything I've ever read in one of those books. How to treat people, how to treat people with respect. I think the simple things go a long way. I've been very fortunate growing up in a very solid family, if you will, in terms of, I saw firsthand and recognized very early on. We were far from rich. We were not poor. I would put us firmly into that middle class, but there was a lot of sacrifice, I'll tell you. Seeing my father work at times 2 jobs, my mother working at times, and all to send their children Catholic school, to have a good education, to build that foundation. So that, when I talk about the values and I have, I think it all starts right there. It's nothing short of astounding, I think, what the men and women of the police department have done by driving crime down to the levels where they are now. But I also look at it from a perspective, because I am greedy. I think we are situated at a unique point in time because of the work that's been done, because of the sacrifice of the last 20 years, because of all the reforms that we've done. We're at a place in time right now, despite having small uptick in murders and shootings, and one is too much, I think we would all agree. But we're situated at a point in time right now where we've gotten damn good at keeping crime down in New York City. The levels of arrests, summonses, stops are at near all-time lows. The crime is at very low levels. With that as the background, I think we have a unique opportunity right now. It's not, this is why we get back to, in my opinion, that this is not a police problem. This is an everybody problem. But I am not afraid of standing up as the police commissioner, having the police department take the lead, and really making sure that this happens. How do you improve someone's life? How do you engage people at the earliest levels so that they don't get pulled into gangs? Sometimes we have kids that are joining gangs because they have no other choices. Well, where are there opportunities to give them choices there? How do we connect with other agencies, private industry? How do we tell people these individuals need help? What options do they have? How do you fight crime in New York City? Maybe it's fighting crime by talking and having meetings, as well as chasing people with guns and having handcuffs out. It's going to take all of that. It's going to take work with community partners. It's going to take work with different parts of the government, different city agencies, to tackle the crime issues, to tackle the mental health issues, to tackle the homeless issues, all of this. And it's going to take a lot of work. Speaking about the difference between patrol and the detectives, and where patrol is churning every day, responding to crisis, and then go to the next crisis, if you will, and repeat. A little different in the Detective Bureau, and it's worth mentioning, where they catch a case, and they'll catch many cases, and something we clearly monitor to make sure the caseloads are manageable. But they continue with that case until it's over. Whether it's a sex assault, a robbery, a burglary victim, maybe it's a missing child. When that 8-hour shift ends, it's not turn it over and go to the next job. It's go home, go have dinner with your family, and as you're playing or coaching your child's soccer team on the weekend, you're thinking about that victim. Long after the papers are thrown out and the news articles are done and we've moved on to the next story, 5 months later, that detective is still thinking about that victim, when quite frankly, no one else is. I see things that trouble me every day. When you look at crimes that are taking place, preventable crimes sometimes, when you see criminal justice reforms that are well-intentioned but maybe could be better, when you're seeing pendulums swing maybe a little too quickly without full acknowledgement of all the implications. I think the police speak for the victims. This is a traumatizing event. One person robbed, how that implicates not just them. It's traumatizing for them, it's traumatizing for their family, for their children that may have witnessed it. What about when they go home and tell that story in their building and everyone in the building is fearful? You talk about burglaries, quote unquote, nonviolent crimes. Tell that to a crime victim that goes home and looks behind the shower curtain every night for the rest of their lives when they go into their home. So I think that anytime we talk about criminal justice reform, we talk about safety, we talk about neighborhood policing, not the last person, the first person we should be talking about is the victim. When you look at New York City, there is no shortage of targets. Obviously, we are the focal point. When you look across the United States and quite possibly the world, it's something that is always foremost on our mind. This makes the partnerships that we have with our federal partners and state agencies critical. When you look at our JTTF, when you look at our Counterterrorism Bureau, when you look at the critical response that responds quickly to numerous locations throughout the day without getting into any specific tactics clearly, it is something that is foremost on our mind. In a post-9/11 world, it's something that we have to balance. We have the community, we have the crime, but we're never going to forget our responsibilities to keep all New Yorkers safe across a myriad of threats. I'm from a family of immigrants, and so nobody appreciates more that balance of wanting to be a New Yorker, wanting to be an American, but also appreciating where you came from. And just take a train ride from Union Square up to 42nd Street, and you will probably be in contact with 150 different countries, and that's on one train car. It really is what makes us so strong. I think of policing pretty simply. I think we have an incredible honor in serving the people of this great city. I never want you to forget that. I want you to think and remember the impact that you have literally changing people's lives. Never underestimate for a second, not for a second, the impact that you have on people's lives in New York City.